Hello, welcome to my channel, Sea of Infinity. So in this video, I just wanted to, do a quick reading for you. So as always, with timeless collective messages, if, this video has found you, then I trust that it is for you. However, as always, take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and use your own discernment. And so I do note with this video as well that it'll be more of a, a love message, if you will. I don't normally get sort of, the topic of the message or, the reading before I delve into it. But as I was being called to record a message, I kept having, two songs playing over in my mind. Two and Turning Page by Sleeping at Last, which are, both quite, romantic type songs. So it felt like there's, a frequency of love that's wanting to come through in a message and reach someone somewhere. And with all these, sort of readings and videos, just reality itself, and the way the energy and everything kind of works, and, things projected by our own minds and all that, this reading is just like another channel and way for, your higher self and things like that to bring messages to the forefront for you. So it could resonate in different ways for different people, as it all, depends on you and the reasoning for, this message coming into your reality of how it kind of, pertains to you. So, using your own discernment with that and going with the flow of what resonates for you. Whether you feel like it's a message, from your higher self, from God or the universe itself, or from, a divine masculine or divine feminine energy, or even someone that's already in your life, however it works for you and, resonates for you, that you feel like is, the reason you're being drawn to listen to such a message, and that your mind would have, kind of pinged it into your reality and manifested it for you to receive. So as well, listening to or reading the lyrics of either one of those songs I mentioned as well might have a little extra message in there for you as well. And kind of, going along with the message and tone of those two songs as well reminds me how earlier today my cat was chasing a lizard, so I ran out there to kind of, go save the lizard, and it's almost like it knew I was there to help it, as it ran straight up inside my dress and hid away, and then it allowed me to calmly, just grab it and hold it in my hands so I could take it to a little safe place that, my cat wouldn't disturb it. So it almost kind of feels in line with the message as well from those sort of, songs that were kept popping in my head of, you are about to maybe, enter a phase of finding a safe space, or there is, an energy or a person or however that connection works for you that kind of, wants to be your safe space as well. I don't know why I had pop into my head, but I even had an extraterrestrial being. So, that resonates and connects for you as well. Maybe you have some sort of, ET romance, budding or about to bloom. I also noticed as well the numbers 143, 144 and 231 as well today. That might just be another little sign or synchronicity of resonance for you too. But all right, let's see what else the cards want to bring out for this message. I'll just clear. All right. God, Spirit, angels, archangels, ascended masters, what messages, guidance do you have for the collective here today relating to this message of love? Okay, so we're starting off with these three, and then I'll pull some of these later too. I felt called to bring out, but starting with the tarot. And I noticed the tower on the bottom of the deck as well that was, you know, standing out to me. So I might bring that one out as well. Let's just move them over like this. Okay, so a great array of cards here to, you know, come out along with this message. You know, quite dramatic cards. Which really, you know, is giving the impression that in regards, you know, to this sort of message of love, that there's going to be quite a dramatic or, you know, big sort of change in that regard for you in your life. You know, with the Wheel of Fortune here. You know, it's like rapid change coming, you know, positive change in your favor, like, you know, great luck, good fortune. You know, a new cycle beginning, you know, new changes, kind of, you know, aligning you to that sort of wheel of destiny and pathway of destiny in a way of, you know, magic and beautiful things occurring. And then, you know, sometimes a lot of the times the Seven of Swords can be, you know, quite a negative card. But I feel like with the way it's kind of coming out here with the rest and just the tone of the message overall, it's almost kind of alluding to this sort of, you know, big change, this big bold change that's going to be coming into your life or occurring, or maybe already has. Is something that's, you know, been a bit elusive to you, been a bit behind the scenes, a bit of, you know, kind of a bit trickery in that way, but not in a negative sense. You know, it's been a bit stealthy, like a little stealthy divine plan, a twist of fate that has kind of been, you know, hidden behind the scenes, like a little surprise for you that's about to, you know, really come into fruition for you here. So, you know, something, you know, kind of expecting the unexpected sort of vibe with this good fortune and new beginning, you know, coming in here. And then with the, you know, the Three of Cups, you know, being about, you know, celebrations and joy and happiness and a reunion and all that sort of, you know, festivity type energy. You know, with the tower next to it, that's, you know, like sudden change. You know, also that sort of, you know, can be quite that, you know, sort of unexpected dramatic change, you know, a big bolt of lightning kind of coming through. But again, you know, although that can sometimes be like chaotic destruction, just as this card can sometimes, you know, be a bit negative, I feel like the way they're kind of working together here with the energy is that, you know, this wheel of fortune turning in your favor, you know, this new chapter and new exciting, you know, blessings and wonderful times coming in is something that's, you know, been kind of working behind the scenes that you haven't quite seen, is going to, you know, take you by surprise, and that it's, you know, going to be a great, you know, time of celebration and happiness and reunion. That's, you know, a bit of a unexpected bolt from the blue. So, you know, with these two cards here together, it really seems like, you know, something that might be quite shocking or a lot more than you expected. You know, so some sort of outcome, you know, some sort of loving outcome occurring in your life that's really, you know, kind of knock you off your feet in a sense, in a good, positive, you know, beautiful, wonderful way. That, you know, all this sort of love is going to be coming into your life like a bolt out of the blue, and it's really going to bring you so much joy and happiness and swirl you into this new chapter of life in a way that's just, you know, completely unexpected to you, almost like a little surprise that's been plotted by, you know, spirit in the universe or your angels or what have you behind the scenes, that is really going to shock you in the best beautiful way and going to make you so happy and really feel like, you know, you've just kind of waltzed into a new chapter of fate and destiny in such a beautiful, miraculous, lucky way. like newfound freedom in love and a new beautiful bold chapter of love. And as I said, however that resonates for you, it may be in a way you just completely can't see or know right now with, meeting someone new, or whether it's, someone you've already been connected to, or whether it's even just, connecting to love in that way in regards to like an inner union journey, or, connecting with the divine or God or source, or as I mentioned as well, even connecting with an extraterrestrial being, or, there's so many possibilities of how it could resonate for one individual journey. But just knowing that, there is something coming in here that's going to completely, blow your socks off and make you so happy and excited, and just bring you into a beautiful, wonderful new chapter. And the two songs I mentioned before are quite, as I mentioned, quite sort of like romantic, devoted type songs as well. So it might be, the amount of love that comes your way or that you experience might just, completely shock and blow you away. It might be, more love than you're used to experiencing, or more admiration or devotion or affection than you're used to experiencing, that it completely just sweeps you off your feet and, bewilders you in the best way. Kind of, being loved like you've never been loved before type vibe. Almost, giving that feeling of all the love you've ever given out, and that beautiful, loving connection, of the divine, and just the pure magic of our own heart, kind of being reflected back at you through however this experience manifests. To really, celebrate how, not only celebrating the moment happening for you, but to really celebrate, just how wonderful and divine you are too. Maybe you are someone that's used to more of these sort of Seven of Swords and Tower energies being a little more, negative and chaotic or what have you, and it almost feels like now the wheel is turning and you're going to be experiencing this sort of energy in a really beautiful, abundant way. Something that shocks you in a magical way rather than a traumatic way. Something happening behind the scenes that you can't see, that's, bringing about something divine and magical for you rather than, something horrible. So you might also be, kind of shocked in this Tower way of having to kind of adjust to this new energy and to this new way of energy being expressed in your life, rather than these sort of energies expressing and showing up in a way that's a detriment to you, or something you need to put your guard up against or protect yourself against. It might shock you at how much it is there to actually love and support you. As I mentioned before, like finding that safe space. Maybe you're used to, encountering spaces or situations that aren't so safe, and it's like, finally going to find that safe space through, however this manifests into your life. And that in itself could just be, a whole new turning of the wheel experience that can be so shocking in a way of how just safe it truly feels, Safety in a way that you never have experienced before. Almost like that, that line of, you don't know what you don't know till you know, right? And so experiencing all this sort of love and devotion and safety, you might not even, until it happens, have realized how much of it you hadn't experienced before until you started experiencing it. And that in itself can be quite shocking. But just knowing, if any of those sort of, energies bubble up a bit where it does feel a bit, uncomfortable in a way of just being, foreign, knowing that you can delve into this energy of celebration here. This is a moment to celebrate, and your good fortune, turning around into your favor as you so do deserve. So although you may be used to towers shocking and rattling you in a terrible way, not allowing that energy to take away from all this beautiful magic that wants to come in and, adore you and support you and love you, allowing that, that love to find you. All right, I might see what messages from the angels want to come out now. I might just quickly grab one of those. Right, angels, archangels, what messages do you have here for this lovely message for the collective? Oh, that seemed like too many, but we'll take the one that popped out. Okay, so we've got Ariel, embrace your goddess-given power. So although, this card is traditionally kind of about, standing up for what is right, using your voice, being fearless, and using your magic, for good, and you're spreading your light in that regard. It also, Archangel Ariel governs the root chakra and includes shoring up feelings of safety, which I feel like, goes really, really well to what we were talking about before of, finding that safe place or coming into a safe space. So I feel like, this card's kind of coming out to say that, you're going to be able to stabilize more of that sort of root chakra energy within yourself, removing the fear and having it replaced with safety instead. And that, whatever this experience or, divine orchestration or what have you that kind of, or union, however it manifests for you in your life, is that it's, an energy coming through to give you more of that sense of safety as we were talking about before. And so being brave enough to allow this process to, work with you in that way. Even though, it may be a little overwhelming, as we mentioned, not shying away from the experience. And Archangel Ariel can also come through to, support and increase your confidence. And so she may also, be coming through in this message to just let you know to have confidence through this situation, when however it manifests or arises for you, sometimes new experiences or love or what have you can make you feeling a bit insecure or unsure or like you just want to run away and hide from it. Not having a Cinderella moment where you run away at the end of the ball when the clock strikes 12, and instead, having the confidence to be your whole and true self and to fall into this situation and allow yourself to be protected and to be loved and to be doted on. Allowing yourself to rest into safety and not feeling like you've always got to be on guard. Really, really clearing and alchemizing that sort of root chakra energy out of that survival, fear-based energy into one of, strong stability and safety. And increasing your confidence that you do deserve all the love in the world and all the devotion in the world. So not feeling, insecure in any way in that regard. That, you're not worthy or it's, too much for you or anything like that. As you deserve all the divine love that the whole universe has to offer. So you embrace all the magic that comes your way. All right, and then I might see if any cards want to come out from the Rose Oracle deck. So God, Source, Spirit, Mother Gaia, what message do you have for... we'll take that one, it popped out. So we've got the Great Mother surrender to the mystery, fall into her arms. So I feel like, this card's not only coming out to say, surrender to the mystery of of this experience and how it may unfold to you, but also, the falling into her arms and sort of the general message that tends to come along with this card, kind of about the polarities of life on earth and the extreme hardships and things we can go through at times, and how it can be difficult to experience, particularly when we remember that oneness and that source connection and are experiencing so much, things that, are so not aligned in that way. Sometimes remembering all that beauty and love while experiencing traumatic and hard, difficult times can be, very difficult and gut-wrenching and just awful to go through. So I feel like, this card's not only saying, surrender to the mystery of this magical experience, but also, as we were mentioning before, any sort of, not even just insecurities, but, any fears or any troubles or things like that you may have gone through on your journey up until this point, some of those more sort of traumatic or stressful moments, really just surrendering them up, and allowing yourself to fall into this safety, falling into that energy, of the great mother that's there to nurture you and love you. So really, through however this beautiful divine love experience kind of manifests in your life, not bringing all that baggage with you or allowing it to cloud over this great celebration that's coming for you. As difficult as those, experiences can be, allowing yourself to still fall into that safety, to be, loved by another, or to be loved by the universe or God or by life itself, and to relish in all those moments that appear for you. And so, don't worry so much about how it's all going to unfold. Surrender to that mystery. And although, if you may be more used to more sort of, not so great or wonderful experiences, knowing that wheel of fortune is, sort of turning in your favor here. And so you can relax and trust and fall into the flow of this experience. So not being afraid and having that confidence to really fall into, that safety and surrender to the mystery of it all. As it says in one of the songs I mentioned earlier, it is a privilege to love you. And so don't allow yourself to shy away from those sort of experiences. Allow yourself to be taken care of, to be swept off your feet. You aren't a burden. It is a privilege to love you. And so, allowing someone or however this sort of situation pertains for you to witness you, to love your smallest quirks to your brightest moments, and everything in between. And as we've mentioned, even if that sort of experience could be a bit, shocking or new for you, that doesn't mean, that you don't deserve it or haven't always deserved it. And so allowing yourself to fall into it and to, relish in the experience and enjoy the magic of it all. You deserve to feel safe, to feel supported, to feel loved and, doted on and adored. And so allow yourself to receive all that love. And thinking, back to one of the other songs as well that I mentioned earlier, talks about how he's waited 100 years or what have you. And so if, you do resonate, kind of with an experience of, not having that feeling of safety and used to more sort of, traumatic or, just not so great to experience energies, where this, sort of love and devotion and safety really would be like a big tower moment and a wheel of fortune change here for you. It almost, feels almost as well like another message, from the universe or what have you, your higher self or your divine counterpart, of almost like, now you've gone through, these darker or harder chapters and have healed enough now to be able to receive, such love and magic. Whereas, possibly earlier in your journey, you weren't, able to be in a position to receive, such love. It would have been, too much of a tower that it would have really just, completely destabilized your system, overwhelmed your nervous system. But, you've healed enough now that the universe or, your divine counterpart, or however you look at it, or however this, message resonates for you, is now able to kind of, bring through all that love and devotion that they've always had for you and that has always existed for you. And now they're able to really kind of push it all through for you, maybe a bit like a tsunami, but it's almost like the universe itself, or, that sort of energy of your higher self or a divine counterpart type energy has kind of, just been waiting behind the scenes for you to kind of reach this pivotal moment along your journey, that they're able to finally, really deliver all that abundant love that they've always had for you, so that you're able to now to really truly experience it and relish in all the magic of it. So knowing as well, this sort of loving type experience isn't finding you now because you're finally worthy. It's just more that you're, finally ready to receive what you've always been worthy of. You truly, truly are so, so loved and always have been. And now the universe wants to show that to you. Whereas before it might have, been a little too much of a shock to the system for such a circumstance to arise. However, it's, planned to arise for you. But now you're in enough of a space to hold and receive that. So take reassurance in that. Even if you still, feel a little unsteady along the way. Just know that it is time for you to receive all this love as you always have deserved. And just be, be prepared to be swept off your feet. All right, well, I might leave this message here for now, but send you so much peace, love, light, and blessings as always. Bye.